One of Kang's group members suddenly couldn't continue training because he was exhausted. Kang then orders the member to hang from the rope so the other members can pass. When Kang returns to cross the rope bridge to pick up his sick member, the member suddenly falls onto the rocks because he can't hang anymore. The movie begins on the night of January 21, 1968, when Unity 124, a Black Ops unit from North Korea, is sent down south with the singular mission of killing the South Korean President Park Chung-hee. Unit 124 was intercepted by the Southern forces a mere 100 meters from the presidential Blue House and was assassinated or captured. When they ask what the purpose of the infiltration is, the lone survivor of the unit, Special Agent Kim Shin-jo, proudly replies live on television that he came to slit the throat of President Chung-hee. When the media asks what kind of soldiers the deceased members of the unit are, he says they are specialists in murder, arson, kidnapping, and military explosives. At that time, many South Korean government officials were randomly attacked by unknown people. That night, a hitman named Kang In-chan is on a mission to kill a South Korean government official. Kang and his men came to a party attended by the official and immediately attacked. At that moment, Kang immediately goes to the government official's room and kills him with a knife. Unfortunately, their action got discovered by the police, so Kang had to directly run away. The pursuit didn't last long because the police officers caught him and took him to the police station. In the court, they sentence him to death for killing a high-ranking government official, despite his surviving the attack. Before Kang's execution, a man came to him. The man says that his father, Kang Min-ho, was a fencing master who got arrested as a resident spy. But he escaped during his trial and was never found, so they assume he escaped to the north. He says he knows he is his only son and that after middle school, he tried to find work and applied 12 times in 2 years without success. He also tells him that he knows that when he was 17, he was recruited by the Jindo gang, and now he is convicted of death for attempted murder. He shows him the knife he used, which he says is if not for his father's crimes, he wouldn't have been sentenced to death. Then, he asks if he could start over again and wield that knife for his country. On the other hand, the South Koreans continue their execution of North Shin-jo, who was smoking before his execution. A few days later, Kang and 30 other prisoners are taken to Silmito by boat. In the middle of their voyage, some prisoners start to act stupidly, and one even asks a soldier for a smoke. Then, the man asks the soldier to drop his gun and badge, fight him man to man, and start cursing at the soldier and other prisoners. A fist fight starts between the prisoners, causing the commander on board to open fire. As he sees they are near the island, he orders to put the ship to stop and tells the prisoners to get in the water before he counts to 3. When the prisoners refuse to do so, he starts firing in front of them and throws a grenade, so they don't have a choice but to jump off and swim their way to the island. When everyone reaches the island, General Jae-yun, who turns out to be the one who spoke to Kang in prison, speaks. He says he's a soldier while they are death row convicts or men from society's gutter, but if they put on the same uniform, their goals become one. He says that they will unite under a single task to safeguard their nation and unify their homeland. He says they will protect their lives, and their nation's bidding will train them. He warns them that the training will be much harsher than the actual task awaiting them, and they will make no effort to ensure their safety. However, on the day they achieve their goal, they will be able to face the world as Korea's proudest soldiers. Then, he tells those who are prepared to put on the uniforms. One of the prisoners says there is nowhere else to go and no clue how to get out of there, so he puts on the uniform because they are dead anyway. Then, the rest follows. After that, Jae-yun tells them that from that day on, they will be members of Korean Special Unit 684. Their mission is to go to Pyongyang and kill Kim Il-sung, their president. The next day, all the prisoners undergo rigorous training, often under inhuman conditions and demands from their supervising officers. This process prepares them for the incredible mission they were tasked with. During their training, their officer tells them that Shin-jo's Unity 124, to kill their president's throat, sent 31 men across the border, but they failed. So the 31 men in their Unit 684 must move 1 second faster and 1 step farther. Then, they will indeed slit Il-sung's throat. In the evening, all the prisoners without their shirts on are gathered on the beach, and the officer says that if they get captured, their best option is suicide. He says they will provide them with tools for quick and precise suicide, so they must learn the methods thoroughly. He warns them that if they fail to suicide, they will face continuous torture. Then, they proceed with the drills. He says that if they scream during the drills, it will be the same as revealing secrets to their enemies and that disclosing that information puts the lives of the whole unit in their enemies' hands. The soldiers begin to put a hot iron on their backs as if branding them. The prisoners who could not endure it immediately entered the seawater, leaving the three strongest prisoners, Kang In, Sung-pil, and Gun-jae. Jae-han asks them what they were thinking to endure it because it can't have been easy. Then Sung-pil says he believes he must go to Pyongyang. Kang says that Sung-pil did it, so he has too, and Gun-jae says that what else can't he does not endure, for he has led his gang member for years. The three were then appointed as leaders of 3 groups of 10 prisoners. From that day on, they began to undergo group training to increase synergy and solidarity. Later that night, the officers plan their attack. They will take the same route that the North used, and after killing Il-sung, they will take out the Defense Department and the Department of Armed Forces. Commander Park says that traveling by land will take a week, so Shinjo's group fails because of time. So he suggests they take the sea and reach Il-sung's residence in an hour. The next day, the units trained underwater. Then, they prepared to cross the ravine using a rope bridge. While doing the exercise, the officer says that each group has 65 seconds to complete the task and that if they are 1 second later, they will be riddled with bullets. One of Kang's group members suddenly couldn't continue training because he was exhausted. Kang then orders the member to hang from the rope so the other members can pass. When Kang returns to cross the rope bridge to pick up his sick member, the member suddenly falls onto the rocks because he can't hang anymore. That night, Joe says it's a splendid decision to pause and save one life. Still, all of them would have died, so if the same situation occurred in the future, he wants them to remember it today. In the following days, all the prisoners began their training earnestly because they wanted to die honorably as soldiers for their country. As a result, their abilities have significantly improved, and they can pass every challenge well. That night, Joe says he's been to Pyongyang over 20 times but never dreamt of killing Kim or blowing up his place. He says he has never had colleagues like them and tells them they will depart tomorrow night. He then toasts the 31 most muscular men, including the deceased. After that, he tells them to stay within the ground and enjoy themselves tonight. The following night, despite the terrible weather, they still deployed the soldiers to carry out their mission. Jae-yun, Joe, and other official military forces immediately paid their respects to Unit 684 as they departed for North Korea. All soldiers rode enthusiastically and were full of nationalism to defend their country. Shortly after, Jae-yun receives a call from the government's leadership to cancel the mission. Furious about the news, Jae-yun immediately orders Joe to pick up Unit 684 to bring them back. However, when Joe reaches them, the unit refuses and is eager to continue its mission. Still, Joe says that it's an order from above. The following day, Jae-yun comes to their superiors to ask for a date for the operation, but the leader says it's not for him to decide. The leader reveals that the chief of intelligence who created the unit got replaced. After that, all the prisoners on Silmido Island began their training unenthusiastically and lazily. 2 soldiers began to feel bored that night, so they decided to escape from their barracks and come to the health post to spend the night with the female military doctor. Knowing that 684 soldiers had disappeared, Joe immediately scolds the military officers and orders the entire squad to look for them. When the 2 soldiers realize they have been discovered, they decide to kill themselves, believing they will get executed. One kills the other at his request, but he gets apprehended before he can kill himself. They then return to the camp with the apprehended soldier tied up. They made him watch his fellow members being beaten by guards for the 2 men's betrayal. Enraged, Kang takes his guard's bat and kills the soldier for bringing disgrace to the unit. After that, Kang asks Jae-yun to send them to Pyongyang. It doesn't matter if they beat or kill them, just send them there. The following day, Jae-yun returned to his superior's office. Unfortunately, the leadership rejected the request because it was outside his authority. At the same time, a military leader named General Oh tells Jae-yun that the nation is moving towards peaceful reunification, so if the press hears about the unit, they will think they are savages. He then says that Jae-yun's career will improve if the situation gets cleaned up. Hearing this, Jae-yun feels very angry and disappointed because all the prisoners of the 684 military forces underwent military training without stopping for their country. However, he couldn't refuse Oh's orders because the government threatened Jae-yun and the other army troops with death. That night, Jae-yun informs Joe and Commander Park about the order. Hearing this, Joe immediately opposes the plan and departs from the mission. Meanwhile, Park, who did not want himself and his military troops killed, decided to massacre the 684 military troops. Unbeknownst to them, Joe leaks this information to Kang. The following day, Joe decides to go to the city to guard the collection of military logistics. On the other hand, knowing they would get killed that day, the unit planned to mutiny. That night, Kang and the others immediately prepare to attack the official military forces and Park. The shootout begins, and all buildings on the island of Silmido are destroyed. Kang entered Jae-yun's barracks during the battle but could not kill him. Then, unexpectedly, Jae-yoon decides to end his own life. After that, Kang rejoins the other members to fight against the military forces. On the other hand, while Gun-ae is mourning his best friend's death, he is shot from behind by Park. But not long after, Park was finally cornered and shot dead successively by the entire unit. At that moment, he tells the unit that they legally no longer exist and never would have received recognition for their mission if it succeeded, nor even be allowed to return to society. After hearing that, they decided to go to the capital and protest against the government's willingness to formalize their military force as official troops. The following day, the remaining 20 members capture a bus containing civilians and head to Seoul. An official pronouncement is heard over the radio that 20 armed communist agents have infiltrated the country, and a state of emergency is declared. They were forced to confront the government's official military forces in the middle of their journey, who had been prepared to stop them from reaching the Blue House. As a result, one of their members died, bringing the unit's sadness to a head. When they arrived in the capital, they were met with several special military forces. Jo went to the location to rescue them as soon as she heard about them. He attempted to persuade the capital's captains that the 684 military forces were not a communist organization, but a government military force formed secretly. The captain of the army troops there, however, ignored Jo's words. Military Forces 684, seeing that Jo could not save them, felt demoralized to continue their plan. Sung-pil admits he regrets sending captives to Silmido for military training. After all, they had no choice but to confront the surrounding army forces. The shootout between the 684 military forces and the government military forces took place once more. They begin to die one by one, while the remaining members attempt to write their names on the bus wall with blood to demonstrate that they exist and have the nationalism to defend their country. To avoid further bloodshed, the surviving unit releases the civilian hostages. At the last moment, all unit members decided to perform their national hymn before finally being killed by blowing themselves up with grenades. He feels guilty and responsible for what happened to them, however. Following the bus explosion, many media outlets portrayed Unit 684 as a communist group seeking to overthrow the government. Fortunately, Jo did not give up and continued to fight to restore the good name of all the prisoners who had joined the military forces. When South Korea's military dictatorship ended several years later, Jo revealed the truth about Military Forces 684 to the media and the public. The movie ends with the government naming the 684 military troops trained on the island of Silmido as heroes who have served the country. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this to help the channel out. Have a nice day.